What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here, back here for another player ratings video. Got Joe Lee in the hot seat today. I mean, how are we going to dissect that performance last night? Seriously.
Yeah, it's a frustrating one to dissect, and it's Europa League all over again. I haven't missed this. I said last week when we were winning comfortably that I like the competition because you can just be relaxed and enjoy your team play.
Wasn't the case last night.
But last night it wasn't the case, was it?
Look, let's get into it. I just want to get this video over and done with because...
On to the next game.
Exactly. I just want to close this door on this bloody game, move on. At the end of the day, it is only a Europa League group stage game, so it can be easily forgotten about if we do qualify from the group. So
yeah, and I guess, you know, the line that we put out was a test for Mourinho to see if certain players work well in his side. And like Expression said a few times last night, it was a Pochettino-based squad, and I think it proved that Mourinho's sides and the way we play with the players he's bought work a lot better this season. So yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, I agree with you, and a lot of players would have failed that Jose Mourinho test last night, which we'll get into right now. Let's start off with Hugo Laurice. We gave him a 6. I, for one, was surprised seeing him in the lineup, seeing as Joe Hart played the majority of the games in the Europa League so far. He made one great save. It looked like a goal, a shot was dipping in, or maybe it was going to hit the bar or what have you. But all in all, it was a pretty quiet night. I think he only made 2 saves.
Yeah, he didn't have much work on his hands, and I still don't get why he was starting, but he was so quiet. He didn't have a lot of work to do. The goal wasn't really his fault either. Yeah. And I guess it was just a night for him to forget, but nothing, you know, to blame on his part, really.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you're not going to blame Jose for picking him because he's our captain and our best keeper at the club, but I did think Joe Hart was going to play. Let's move on to Serge Aurier. We gave him a 5. It was an interesting one from Serge Aurier because with Serge, you expect him to get up and down quite a lot. I felt that he didn't get up too well. A lot of people berating him last night as well, which I thought was a tiny bit unfair. It wasn't the worst performance for him, wasn't the best, but we gave him a 5.
Yeah, I remember him putting in a really nice cross, but then I also remember a few of the crosses just going astray and no one was being on the end of them. So yeah, it was an up and down performance, but mainly down, as it was for most of the squad. But for example, when you are trying to make a cross sometimes and there's no one in the box, then that might not always be your fault. So I feel like that was the part of his game where he could have definitely improved on. But yeah, when the squad's not playing to the best of their ability, it's hard to play it in a role where you need to cross it into the box. Which
True.
Is the area he could have improved, yeah.
Davidson Sanchez, we gave him a 6. Look, at the end of the day, he was part of a backline that looked really, really shaky last night against an Antwerp side and against a really on it Antwerp side, I have to say. But he did make some match saving, or not match saving because we didn't win the match, but goal saving challenges. I remember at least 2 of them, especially one early on in the second half. So look, you got to commend Sanchez for that, but he played his part. First of all, in the goal we conceded, and second of all, in that dodgy backline, I said. Yeah,
he was too lazy for a lot of the first half, sloppy balls up the field, but he did make that fantastic stop at the start of the second. So he was one of the best players overall, but the first half stood out for me as one of his worst games in a Spurs shirt. Seriously, I was just, every time the ball got to him, it was either... He was too relaxed, and this is what I want to go on to say when we go to Davis, but he didn't look up for it, which for a Europa League game you need to be more up for it than some of the Premier League games because they're playing their heart out. And yeah, I've got so much I want to say, but just need to get it off my chest, man.
Let's go for Ben Davis. We gave him a 4. I mean, first of all, that mistake for the goal is unforgivable, completely unforgivable. You can't be doing that in a game. I mean...
He had time on his hands and he looked so relaxed there was about 3 seconds from him and the player, and he stands there for about 2 and just like looks around like, come on. It was, and then obviously he gets tackled. Do you think it was a foul?
No.
He gets clipped a little bit, but I don't think it deserved to be a foul.
I don't think it was a foul. I think it was just complete stupidness.
He should have been on his toes. There was a ball to the left and right of him, and he didn't make a pass.
Yeah, look, I agree with you, and I think that Davis was being bullied all night by Mbakani.
Yeah.
I thought really he had the better of him. Probably a mistake for Jose Mourinho, which we'll get on after the player ratings, to start Davis, because I thought it probably wasn't suited to him coming up against a big physical, strong striker like Mbakani. But look, Davis is a Premier League player and he's got to be doing better against opposition like this. I'm sorry. There's time and time again that I've kind of laid into Ben Davis, and yesterday was even more so a reason why I could. I know he won a lot of aerial duels last night, but it just still wasn't good enough.
Yeah. No, spot on there.
Let's move on to Sergio Rekhalon. We gave him a 5. I personally think it was probably his worst performance in a Spurs shirt last night. Having said that, it's not much to judge on because obviously he just joined this summer and he's had very, very good games since joining us. So I don't want to talk about him too much, but there were times where he was just sloppy in defence. He wasn't getting up like he usually does. He put one good cross in, I think it was all night, and that was it.
Yeah, no, I don't think he was terrible. He wasn't as bad as some of the players, but he was pretty uninspiring. And like you said, there was one nice thing he did in the whole game. But, you know, he stayed on the whole match. And, yeah, it was one to learn from.
Yeah, definitely.
It's one to learn from.
Let's move on to Harry Winks. We gave him a 4.
Yeah.
For me, one of the worst players in the first half. Second half, I believe he did improve in his game, but it's just not good enough from Harry Winks. I just don't know what he offers to this team anymore. Yeah. I'm getting increasingly frustrated with Harry Winks. I mean, for me, personally, headless chicken. I don't know if he's good enough to start for us anymore. I genuinely believe that. It's the first time I'm saying that as a Spurs fan. And when you look at it, you got Pierre-Emerick, who's come in and completely hit the ground running, and you got Tanguy Ndombele. He can't do anything that Højbjerg does. He can't do anything that Tanguy Ndombele does. So for me, I don't know what he does anymore. What does he provide to the team apart from a few passes?
Even in the Europa League, do you think there's no games he could start? I mean, we're talking about, are these even Premier League level squad? And he can't start against them. I think he looked like a headless chicken. He was running around so much but doing nothing with it. He was wasting energy. He'd be, for example, trying to make a tackle, get no contact on the ball, and then he's falling over and can't run and try and make the second ball, which is something he used to do so well, getting those second balls. But yeah, he was just clueless last night, and I think, you know, there's some games, of course, he could start in, but it's getting worrying for him. Last night in particular stood out for me as one of, like you said, one of his worst performances in a long, long time.
I would say, look, he did improve in that second half, but it's still not good enough. Like he made 2 back passes last night that nearly resulted in Antwerp goals. I mean, what more? Let's just move on this because it's just making me angry with Harry Winks. Let's move on to Giovanni La Celso. We gave him a 5. He got hooked at half time. I thought he was a bit unlucky to get hooked. Look, he was all right. At the end of the day, he wasn't having his best game. He wasn't playing well. But when you got Harry Winks on the pitch and the performance he put in the first half, and you're bringing on Højbjerg, I would take off Winks for Højbjerg. I wouldn't take off La Celso for Højbjerg, because when you have Højbjerg and Winks in the middle, there's not very much inspiration there.
That would have been the one I would have made. I think he made some nice passes. I remember him having a nice little link up with Bergvine. But on the most part, it was just like the rest of the squad. When other players around you aren't playing well, it's hard to gel. And La Celso definitely didn't find his feet, other than a few, decent passes. Another one to forget.
Another one. Let's move on to Dele Alli. We gave him a 4. I mean, there's been a lot of talk about Dele Alli over the past month or so. A lot of people saying, he doesn't deserve a game. A lot of people saying, throw him in. We all know the talent he has. You bring him in a game like this, you expect him to take his charge. You expect it to grab it with both hands. Everyone knows the talent that Dele Alli has. I wouldn't say that he didn't put any effort in last night. I think he did put effort in last night, but I just think a lot of passes were just misplaced. It just wasn't his night. There was one moment where he could have squared it, and I think it was
to Bale on the left.
Exactly, it was Bale that was through on goal. He failed to do that, picked the wrong pass. I think it was just a horrible 45 minutes from him.
Yeah, I wouldn't say horrible. I just think he's still such a good player, and ever since Mourinho has come out and said, he's dropped him, everyone's got onto him even more than they were before. For example, he could have played this way, and Mourinho wouldn't have, disrespected him in the way. I was not disrespected him because he hasn't been very good, but I feel like since Mourinho said he's not that good of a player anymore, or whatever he's been saying, everyone's getting onto him a bit more. Like, he still made a decent pass. He didn't play well. I'm not trying to defend him, but I feel like everyone's getting onto his back when he hasn't been playing well for ages. So, it doesn't come as a massive surprise that he didn't play that well because he's been dropped already. But since Mourinho's gotten onto him, I feel like the criticism's even harsher than it was when he wasn't playing that great anyway. And yeah, like I said, he made a nice pass, but it wasn't a great game. But yeah, I think people are being a bit too harsh sometimes on Dele Alli when, he hasn't been good.
All right, let's move on to Gareth Bale. We gave him a 4 with all the quotes from Jose Mourinho before the game. I, for one, was very excited about Gareth Bale in the game last night. It wasn't to be. He looks a tiny bit more fit than he was before, but still you can see he's not completely match fit. He was taken off, I think, after 55 minutes for Harry Kane. He was limited to a few pop shots from quite far out. Didn't get himself involved too much, and he should have been played in by Dele. Maybe we would have been talking about a Gareth Bale goal right now. But look, it wasn't the greatest performance. Yeah,
it was a bit flat. Taken off before the hour mark, and we didn't see a lot from him. It's hard for us to judge how good he's going to be this season from the first few games, and I don't remember him doing anything really. But once again, no one's getting on his back because he's still not fully match fit. So
exactly. Would you play him on the weekend, or would you leave him on the bench still?
Who could we play ahead of him? I think
Lucas,
Bergvine, I think Lucas, Lamello. Not Bergvine. Lucas or Lamello possibly. I think for me, I'd rather see Lucas start. And then second Bale. I wouldn't say Lamello. But no, I don't think he's ready to start in a big game against Brighton because they're a side that like to have a solid back line, similar to Burnley, not as bad. But I remember, I think it was a couple of years ago, we won 1-0 against Brighton. It was a goal in the bottom corner from either Dele or Kane. Do you remember? I think it was Dele. It was Dele. And we struggled. It was like a Burnley game, unfortunately. So it's going to be another difficult game on the weekend. And I don't think Bale's ready for that sort of game where he has to, be in front of a very, very tight defence.
All right, let's move on to Steven Bergvine. We gave him a 4. He also got hooked at half-time as well. Not a great performance. I can't really remember too much of note that he did. I remember some misspaced passes. Wasn't it? Yeah, exactly, and that's about it. I mean, I don't want to dwell too much on Bergvine. Bergvine, I think, this season, the whole of this season, every time he's played, it's been pretty much similar performances. Yeah. And he's not grabbing his chance any time he plays. Yeah. I mean, he's not showing the confidence that he showed when he first joined Spurs, and I think he is lacking in confidence.
Yeah. No, I don't have much to say on that. I think you're right. He plays. He's a bit creative at times, and I do like that because the fact that he made the run for that chance that I've spoke about a few times now. Yeah. But the final product was terrible. Yeah. So he's got quality in him, and I do like him as a player. But I don't know if it's Mourinho, but it hasn't been brought out recently.
And the last of the final 11, Carlos Vinicius, we gave him a 5. Also hooked at half time.
Yeah.
Look, I thought, and my brother thought that
he's one of the better players.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he was one of the better players, but I would say that he was unlucky to be hooked at half-time just because of the way the game was going. We needed a presence up there, and he was providing that presence up there. Yeah. He looked like a good target man. Every time the ball would come over the top, he would win it. The thing I would mark him down on is that his delivery or his pass to find a man when he did bring it down, and that's why he was hooked at the end of the day. But he's a new player at a new club. I would have kept him on. Provided that presence up there and see if it would have improved in the second half, because I thought it was a bit harsh to take him off after 45.
Do you think that will affect his confidence?
I hope not. I mean, I hope like these footballers, you know what I mean? They're professionals. Yeah. They're professional footballers. You don't expect them to like their head to drop after 145 minutes being taken off. I mean, he's got he's got to bide his time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I heard a journalist say last night that what Mourinho said after the match about all the players, about I would have made 11 subs, everything like that, is that good for the squad? If you're a player and you see that, as at the end of the day, your role as a manager is to help the players. And if saying that to the press is going to piss a few players off, like for example, I don't know, Dele Alli or Vinicius, I don't think it was aimed at him. It looked like it was aimed at Dele, but is it going to help Dele, regardless of how bad Dele was? If you're gonna frustrate someone and make them play, lacking confidence even more than they already are, is it the right thing to do?
At the end of the day, these players are not playing well enough. That is the facts.
Yeah.
It's up to Jose Mourinho to try and get that tune out of them.
Yeah.
Maybe he's tried stuff behind closed doors before. It's not making a tune out of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you don't know what happens behind closed doors.
Good point, yeah.
So Dele's and players have been putting in these performances for a while now. Dele, Winks, Sanchez, Davis, Aurier. Players have been putting in lackluster performances for a while now on a consistent basis. And it's up to, like I said, it's up to Jose Mourinho to get this tune out of them. I don't believe for 1 second things have not been said behind closed doors. So I think it's a last resort kind of thing for me.
Okay. No, that's a good point. It's just an interesting thing I saw and I wanted to speak about, but it's Mourinho's way, and I hope the players are positively affected by what they heard in the press, and obviously he would have said something to them in the dressing room as well. It's up
to the players to go out and prove everyone wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're not babies, they're professional footballers.
Yeah, and that's the whole point of professional football. You're going to have pressure, and you're going to have these situations that you've got to deal with professionally.
Yeah. Let's talk about the substitutes now. Heung-min Son, we gave
a lot to get through.
Yeah, we brought 4 subs on at half time. We brought another sub up 10 minutes into the second half. Yeah. Let's start off with Heung-min Son. We gave him a 6. I thought he provided good energy to the team. He really did try. He was working his socks off, but it just wasn't happening for him. I mean, they were crowding him in the box so heavily. It was just really frustrating when Son came on, because you could see he really wanted to get that goal.
Yeah, he had a nice little flick and it was defended by, is it Sek?
Could be.
Sek,
I don't know that
If
name.
there's a player called Sek, it was the centre back. Yeah, it was. He defended that really nicely, but the trying to flick it in the bottom corner was nice. And I think him and Kane really did change the game. But by then, Antwerp were already playing their best football. And we were playing about a 6 out of 10. So, yeah.
Maybe a 3 out of 10.
I actually wouldn't blame. I think Kane and Son really did positively make a good impact. But we just couldn't get the finishes off. And their defence was solid in the second half. So...
Lucas Mora, we gave him a 6.
Good cross for the Son chance.
Yeah, exactly. A bit similar to Heung-min Son. I thought he came on with a plan. He came on with energy. Yeah. He came on looking to make a change in the game, but it just didn't work out just because the Antwerp defence were just sitting so deep. It was so hard for us to get into their box throughout the whole game, especially in that second half after they went 1-0 up and they just dropped and dropped.
Yeah. No, I agree with everything you said on Mora there. Not too much I can remember, but he came on and did what he had to. I feel like he should start on Sunday though, for sure.
Eric Lamello, we gave him a 6. I gave him the same rating as Lucas and Son, but I thought he was a tiny bit below the standard of them two. Again, he was trying to make stuff happen, but he's just very frustrating sometimes, Eric Lamello, the way he holds onto the ball, the way he can't find a pass
with his
sometimes.
left foot only.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like there's so many opportunities on his right foot sometimes, and he'll keep dribbling with his left. It must be so predictable to defend against.
Let's move on to Pierre-Emerick. We gave him a 6 as well.
Yeah.
I think he was probably the best player in the second half for Spurs. He put himself about in that middle of the park. He led by example, really did, and I'm just starting to worry big time how heavily reliant we are on him.
Yeah, I think he actually helped Kane and Son get those chances in the second half. That was his pressure and his work creating chances for the front three. Do I think we're relying on him right now? No, but if we keep playing like this, then we're going to have to keep bringing him on. And then it won't take long before he's one of our most important players.
I believe that's the case now. I believe we're heavily reliant on him right now. I believe he is the most, or one of, definitely in the top 3 most important players in the team right now. I can't see us playing a game, especially in the Premier League, without him. I really can't. He's our midfield general for me.
Yeah, no, he's someone that no one would have expected it to be this way so soon, but he really does look like a leader at times.
100%. And when you got to think about the only other player that can play in his position is Harry Winks, and he's nowhere near good enough in that position.
No, exactly.
And last but not least, let's move on to Harry Kane. We gave him a 5, just below the other subs. Again, Harry Kane was trying to make stuff happen. You could see he was a frustrated figure out there. Just nothing was coming off for him as well. Similar to Heung-min Son, was getting crowded out in that box. Did try and come deep to find the ball, but it just wasn't really happening for him.
He tried. He came on at a time he didn't need to come on at. We need to shut these games out early so we can rest our better players. He's going to be working hard on Sunday. It's not going to be a game where we can afford to have players that aren't fully fit. And the fact that he came on at half time, it showed where the Europa League could cause us serious trouble this season if we don't step up early and if we don't have enough squad depth. I think we still have squad depth. I think it was just that specific lineup which Mourinho hasn't really picked before that didn't help. But onto Kane, I think he did, like you said, bits here and there, but nothing too special.
All right, and finally, Jose Mourinho. The way he set up the team, I thought it was a mistake playing Ben Davies.
Yeah.
I think hindsight is 20/20, obviously.
But
you could see on the pitch, they had a big physical striker up there, so I thought the game was much more suited for Toby Alderweireld. I would say that making 4 changes at halftime was a bit too harsh, in my opinion. I felt that La Celso should have stayed on the pitch. Vinicius probably should have stayed on the pitch. If it wasn't me and I was the manager, I would have taken off Winks 100% and brought on Højbjerg for Winks. But yeah, apart from that, I thought even though Ben Davies was probably a wrong decision, I still felt the lineup was more than good enough to win the game.
Yeah, I think it's no secret. Obviously, when you lose, you look at the manager first, and this was a side that was particularly strange. Of course, you've got to blame Mourinho, but the way the players played, they didn't help him out at all. It's probably one of the worst lineups of the season. So you've got to, he's got to have some of the weight on his shoulders. But I don't think it's a lineup he particularly admired, and we all know it wasn't the most important game. So maybe there was some tactics behind it of, I'll use these today, and maybe if they play well, I've got an excuse as a manager to say you're not in the side anymore. So you never know what he's like, because it was such a different side to what we've seen previously.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it was 8 or 9 changes from the Premier League side.
That's it. Exactly.
But look, anyway, that is the end of the player ratings. Finally, can put an end to this game. Exactly, put it behind us now. Like I said before, it is only a second game of a Europa League group stage, so there's more than enough games to get back on track and qualify from this group, which I fully expect us to do. But look, the Premier League is back this weekend. We play Brighton on Sunday, 7:15 kickoff. We're doing a pre-match fan show today at 4 o'clock. So join us if you want to have your say on the Brighton game. Let me know in the comment section below what you think of the player ratings. Thank you, Jolie, for joining me once again. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always,
come on you Spurs.